Welcome to Model Horse Tack School. My name is Carrie, and today we are working on the trick riding saddle. We're making one in brown, and today we're going to work on the tree. You can get a copy of the pattern in the description for a small fee. Here I've cut out the pieces that are the tree, and I've done a little work on them. A little bit of skiving here and there because I like to thin things out. First thing we're going to do is I did skive around the edge of that tree piece. I'm going to glue the aluminum support onto there. I'm going to put it paper side up. Even though I did it down, I'm going to do it paper side up. And then using these little clothespins to hold it in place, giving that glue a chance to set up. Doesn't have to dry completely, but let it set up. You know, however many clamps you need. And I've got lots of different types. So once I have it so I know it's going to stay down, we're going to put something over this that'll help hold it from the other direction. So we just want to keep it in place. This is some aluminum armature wire. It's pretty bendy, and we only need maybe about 3/4 of an inch. So on one end, I'm going to create a hook like that. Not very big because I want it to hide. So it's going to be bent up about the width of the center of the pommel pieces, and I'm going to make sure it's centered. So that's how I make sure it's centered. There we go. Try and kind of tight so it doesn't move around. All right. Yeah, a little much. You can see I make mistakes, I fix the mistakes. All right, now we're going to cut one of these in half. So bend it, cut. I put that on one side. Just so we can have the wire in there and you can't tell that the wire's in there. It's going to kind of bump it up. So get your edges done. Now, all these pommel pieces, I skive the bottom edge, just so you know. And now, there we go. Any extra that's on top of that wire, we're going to go ahead and snip that away. So it's kind of flush. We're building it up so that the horn isn't an obvious lump in there. Okay, let's put another one over the top like that. So you can see it's not obvious, right? And then on the other side, we're going to do another half. We're going to build it up. And that'll be your back side, the rear side. That's all we're doing here. Again, we're going to match up the bottom edges, and I have skived those bottom edges. You can kind of tell when I'm squeezing that it's a lot narrower at the bottom than it is at the pommel. So just want to thin it down there a little bit. And then it kind of goes from thick to thin. Oops, glue. Just going to keep working it. Okay, now I'm going to give it's about a 1/2 inch, might be a little longer. You can guesstimate, but say a 1/2 inch above the pommel for the height. And then I nicked a little off the bottom so that it didn't stick over. Okay, we're letting those two pieces dry, and now we're going to work on this is the seat base. Now, I skived off some paper and I took some of the color with it. Nobody will see it. I think I went ahead and just put a Sharpie on it to color it again. All right, the small pieces go around the stirrup holes like that. So the tips face backward. And then we're building up that center part of the seat. I have skived the edges. Again, the tips are skived down. That'll help me create like a wedge. And I'm doing the same here. I'm not trying to curve the tree at all. I'm just doing it flat. And I think you can see just a little skiving on the edge, and you got a little bit of a wedge started instead of a huge buildup on the points. And that's on all 3 points. Okay, we're going to put another one. Now, how many you put depends upon the thickness of your leather, so you may not need more than 2. This is a thinner. I'm using a scrap leather here, so it's thinner than some 2-3 ounce regular tooling leather. So I may need more. And basically, yeah, this one 3 I thought was fine because I still have one more layer. Well, I've got the seat to go on it, the suede, and then I have the front jockey piece to go on it too. So I probably have enough. Now I'm going to get a little bit of curve in that seat, and then we'll go ahead and glue this to this that seat back piece, the top piece to the tree. Cover around the edges like that. And then we'll go ahead and put some clips on this too. Set that aside to dry. I have a lot of these. Okay, so here I'm testing how tall I think I need that centerpiece to be. And you don't want it to be taller than where the horn protrudes from the pommel. So I'm just kind of bending it a little bit and seeing where that can be. And in doing so, I busted the glue bond, so now. And when I was doing that, I decided that I do need one more because this is such thin leather. And then I'm getting some clamps. These are different ones, a little bit stronger than the clothespins, the baby clothespin. Yeah, those come from baby shower party favors is where they came from. These here I got at Home Depot. These clamps came in a bucket of 50. All right, now we're going back to the pommel. And I'm not fond of the sharpness of the edges, so I'm going to use my nail drill, and I'm just going to make everything flush. And I'm going to get rid of the sharp edges on that leather. This is optional. Just little details like this help give you better results. And that way, if you don't glue perfectly, you can fix it here. And we're just doing the edges, just taking off that the roughness of the edge. There we go. I find I'm using my nail drill a lot now because I can sand leather with it. Also, now here I'm trying to get a little bit of a point. It's hard to do, but by doing the, it keeps slipping out of my hands because I'm doing, there we go. I'm trying to thin it because my bead that I'm going to use is, the hole is just a little bit smaller. But I don't want it too big because I want the bead to secure. So I'm trying to get a nice point. And it's going to be whatever whatever silver bead you have. They're just in the findings. And so I'm trying to get a point. That's another way you can do it, right like that. And then because it's aluminum, I can kind of smash it with pliers and trying to work that so it's a point. All right. Just removing clamps now that I got glue set up. That's not well set up, but now I'm doing to the seat, same thing. Trying to get a wedge. trying to get rid of those edges, make it more of a wedge and less of a stack of leather. And not required. You don't have to do this. These are little details that I do that I think make a difference in the final pattern. So there we go. Now this is putting your whatever you're using for a pommel cover. I'm using a skiver here. It's a dyed skiver. And I always dry fit. You'll see me do a lot of dry fitting. And just checking to make sure everything's right. And here we go. Trying to pull it in the center. This is stretchy, so I like using skiver. So you can see how nicely it stretches. I'm trying to go for 0 seam or to push the seam as far down as possible. So it's not really something you can see. So pulling it, working it. The glue gets it slightly wet. That makes it a little bit easier to work with. This is why I like skiver. Skiver I'm using was originally a beige chrome tanned, and I dyed it. So it's not even a veggie tan. It's got stretchy skiver in it. Okay, so now trying to work the sides down. Sometimes I'll put a seam in the back. I'll show you. Because I'm trying to not have the seam on the side. So we're going to pull it. There's different ways to do this. It's kind of one of my favorite ways. Pull it. We want like one dart in the back. Same over here on this side while that side's setting up. Pulling all of that back. And that's how much seam I'm going to have. Just that little bit on the side. Okay. And yeah, just working it. Trying to get that seam as far down the side of that pommel as possible. So it doesn't really show because the front jockeys will be there. So now I'm going to, these are really sharp scissors. I like to keep the tip protectors on my scissors. So that's the center of that dart, and I'm pushing it over. Then fold it back and cut off that triangle. This will be different. Every pommel you do is going to be a different shape. It's just kind of the way it is. So if you want, you could just put it on. I mean, you can watch some of my other Western saddles. This is basically the same pattern as my square Western saddle, the barrel racing saddle. I mean, this pommel I've done different ways. I even have one where you can use like a nice thin calf. So this is me trying to work a stretchy skiver into a side seamless sides. And I always end up with the opening in the back. I haven't been able to not have that. Now I use my platypus or duck pliers to get a really good crisp crease right where those seams are going to be, and they're down about as far as I can work it. So now we need to glue the center. So I'm using the cut side. Sorry, my hand's just go wherever they feel like going when I'm working it. I have a camera that points downward, so I can't actually see the screen when I'm doing the work. So now that I've got it in there where I think I want it, well, almost. You could just glue it on total rectangle and then work the sides with a stylus. Find out what works best for you. This one here, I worked it because I was trying to get that almost seamless sides. So now we're going to, now that I've cut the center out, I'm going to go ahead and cut these sides as close as I can to the, there we go, close as I can to the side of the pommel. So I had to re-glue that. A little bit of glue right inside the seam. And I need to get more out of that center. So trying to make that, it kind of got glued to the other side. It was unintentional, but. All right, so now we can fold this through towards the front. Again, I'm going, okay. I have to work that in there. Constantly picking glue off my fingers and wiping them on rags. You can see, unedited. This is the actual making of the saddle. Now we'll go ahead and trim the excess flush to the front, or that's the back. And that way you can't see it from the back. And then I'm going to cut right on the angle of that, the points of the pommel. So you can see that. You can see because I had skived those pieces, it's a wedge at the bottom. So it's not a huge stack. It's been wedged down or thinned down to a wedge. And that way the front jockey piece will fit better around there. Whatever you need to do to get the look that you want. The white glue I use is Aleene's Tacky Glue, and it takes 24 hours to set up, to dry. So if I had to rip this apart and redo it, I could, because it's really not dry yet. It's set up, but it's not yet dry. All right, that was probably the hardest part. Now we're going to do the final assembly. I'm going to go ahead and glue, this is the three-dimensional part. We're going to glue the bottom and sides of the very front of the tree. We're going to bend it. This is the seat base. And you want to push it down and back so it sticks down and back, so you can really see that nice wedge there. As clean as it go. Got to let that kind of set up, so I don't want to do too much working with it. So I'm going to go ahead and glue the seat piece. Make sure you glue in that area that's right before the seat support starts. And we'll lay it down so it matches. And then that's where the magic happens, right there. Seat comes up. Clamp right there. Right there. Get a little shaping in. Remember, this tree, the seat's not going to be up real high, but you do want to get the seat base glued up like that. We're just going to hold it until it sets up. All right, last thing is to put the cap on your horn. So I have some super glue for Metal to Metal Bond. That is a 3mm bead. So the hole is big enough to take a 1mm, well, not quite big enough for a 1mm wire. So if you can find a bead that has a hole exactly the size of your wire, that would be awesome. My wire is just a little bit more than 1mm, and that hole is just a little bit smaller than 1mm. So I use what I have, but if you're going to look, that's what we're looking for. About a 1mm wire and about a 3mm bead with a 1mm hole. And it needs to be round because you want that bulb looking thing. So here I'm just working the wire until the runaway bead is going to fit with the very tip of that wire showing through. And trying not only to do it in the last bead length of whatever I'm doing here at the very tip, because I really don't want to scuff up the rest of the wire. I just want to fix that tip. All right, so that works. You can see the wire sticking out the top. So now we're just going to do just a touch. This glue, I get a rash if this glue touches me. Well, so just a touch of that, and let it hold. I'll probably bend down that tip as it dries. But there's your horn. So thank you for spending time with me today. Like, subscribe, tell your friends all about the channel, and have yourself a really good day.